Right now, you are alive because of a decision one man made. In a dark room, alone, with 23 minutes to choose, between trusting a computer and trusting himself. You have never heard his name. Most of the world hasn't. And on the night he saved it, not a single person outside that room knew. This is the story of September 26, 1983. The day the world almost ended, and nobody noticed. To understand that night, you have to understand how close to the edge the world already was. By 1983, the Cold War wasn't a metaphor. The United States and the Soviet Union together held tens of thousands of nuclear warheads, enough to end modern civilization many times over. And both sides kept their weapons on what was called hair trigger alert. The idea was simple and terrifying. If one side detected an attack, it had only minutes to launch a counterstrike before its own missiles were destroyed. Minutes. That was the entire margin between a false reading and the end of the world. And September 1983 was not a calm month. Just 25 days earlier, on September 1st, the Soviet military had shot down a Korean Airlines passenger jet, Flight 007, that had drifted into Soviet airspace. 269 civilians were killed, including an American congressman. The world was furious. Trust between the superpowers was nearly gone. Each side was watching the other, waiting for the first move. This is the world that Lieutenant Colonel Stanislav Petrov walked into when he started his shift. Petrov was an officer in the Soviet Air Defense Forces. On the night of September 26th, he was the duty officer. At a secret command center called Serpukhov 15, 100 kilometers south of Moscow. His job was to monitor a brand new system, a network of satellites the Soviets called Oko, the Russian word for eye. These satellites watched the United States for the heat signature of a missile launch. If America ever fired its nuclear weapons, Oko was supposed to be the first to know. Petrov's role was specific, and it was heavy. If the system detected an attack, he was to report it up the chain of command. And from there, the decision to retaliate would follow, fast. There's one detail that matters enormously here. Petrov wasn't just an operator, he was an engineer who had helped develop the software that analyzed the satellite data. He understood, better than almost anyone, that the system was powerful, but not perfect. Shortly after midnight, the bunker was quiet. And then it wasn't. The screen in front of Petrov turned bright red. An alarm screamed through the room. The system was reporting a single word in Russian: launch. A missile had been launched from the United States, aimed at the Soviet Union. Petrov later described that moment to the BBC. He said the siren was so loud, it felt like it could raise a dead man from his grave. He sat frozen, the weight of it settling on him. One missile. He had seconds, not minutes, to think. And then the system updated. It wasn't one missile anymore. It was 2, then 3, then 4, then 5. 5 intercontinental ballistic missiles, launched from American soil, climbing toward his country. Every protocol Petrov had ever been trained on told him exactly what to do. Report it, immediately. The system was screaming with the highest possible confidence. The clock was running. Soviet doctrine assumed hesitation could mean national suicide. But Petrov hesitated anyway. And the reason he hesitated is the reason you're here today. Something didn't fit. Petrov knew the American war plans. If the US were truly launching a first strike, a surprise attack meant to wipe out the Soviet Union before it could respond. They wouldn't send 5 missiles. They would send hundreds, maybe thousands. The whole point of a first strike was to overwhelm instantly. 5 missiles was not an apocalypse. 5 missiles was a number that made no strategic sense at all. And there was a second problem. The Soviet early warning system was supposed to work in layers. The satellites watched from space, but ground-based radar was meant to confirm anything they saw, and the radar stations were silent. They were detecting nothing. No incoming missiles, nothing at all. So Petrov was holding 2 pieces of evidence. A brand new satellite system, screaming that the end had come. And every other instinct and instrument telling him it hadn't. He had to choose, and he had to choose now. Petrov picked up the phone and reported that the system was malfunctioning. A false alarm. He said it with confidence he did not fully feel. By his own account, he wasn't certain. He estimated his odds at 50-50. He would rather be the man who waited than the man who started a nuclear war over a glitch. And then came the hardest part. He waited. For about 23 minutes, Petrov sat and watched the clock, knowing that if he was wrong, the first warheads would already be striking. There would be no second chance. He would know by the silence or the fire. The minutes passed. Nothing fell. No missiles, no detonations. The skies stayed quiet. He had been right. So what actually happened that night? The investigation found the cause, and it was almost poetic in how small it was. The date was close to the autumn equinox. The Oko satellite was positioned at just the wrong angle, and sunlight was reflecting off the tops of high-altitude clouds. To the satellite's infrared sensors, that rare alignment of sun, cloud, and orbit looked exactly like the heat bloom of a missile launch. The end of the world, very nearly triggered by sunlight bouncing off a cloud. Stanislav Petrov was not rewarded that night. The incident was kept secret for years. It exposed a flaw in the Soviet system. He received no medal at the time. He went home. And for a long while, the world he had just saved had no idea it owed him anything. Decades later, his story finally surfaced. He was honored at the United Nations. A documentary was made about him. And when interviewers called him a hero, Petrov rejected the word. He said he was simply the right man, in the right place, at the right moment. Just doing his job. He died in 2017. The most important decision in modern history may have been made by a man you'd never recognize. In a room you'll never see. On a night the rest of us slept straight through. The world almost ended, and nobody noticed. If this is the kind of story you didn't know you needed to know, that's the whole point of this channel. Subscribe to Fiuzaverse, and I'll keep finding them.